Hello and welcome to Friendly Pharmacy 5. My name is Lindsay Dixon and I am a pharmacist here from Canada. Today I'm going to be giving you a brief overview of a press release from Moderna, who has produced a vaccine for COVID-19. It's showing to be very effective, very safe, and the distribution requirements are much better than the Pfizer vaccine. So that is also an important point. Stick with me and I think you'll find this to be quite relevant for you today. Moderna is a laboratory out of Massachusetts, and they've been working on this vaccine since last February, March, when this all first started. And so this is quite a work in progress.
The Moderna vaccine is an mRNA spike antigen protein vaccine with an efficacy currently of 94.5%. They will be submitting an emergency use authorization with the US FDA in coming weeks and regulatory findings in countries worldwide. Results have been analyzed by an independent safety monitoring board.
I know that a lot of people are very concerned about the speed at which these vaccines are being created. I can assure you that these laboratories are not skipping steps. They still have to follow all of the regulatory rules. They have to comply with all of the different protocols that any other vaccine would have to comply with. The difference is that a laboratory like this would often be working on multiple different projects. And when COVID-19 emerged, the focus became solely on finding a vaccine for COVID-19. So all the scientists that would be in different areas of the laboratory working on different projects are now solely focused on developing a COVID-19 study. So we have the most brilliant minds, and yes, there is federal funding as well for these vaccine projects to allow them to go ahead at the speed at which they're going ahead. And yes, I will definitely be getting a vaccine once they're available. It's also important to note that this vaccine is 2 doses. So the person would need 2 doses in order for the vaccine to be effective. And that's because with the first vaccine, we expose the body to a portion or a protein of the virus that allows the body to create antibodies. But this does not always stimulate a strong enough immune effect for it to be long lasting. And so with the second dose, we reinforce that immune response, and it allows the body to create what we call immune memory. So this type of immunity is much more long lasting. So let's talk about some of the details of this study. The Moderna vaccine study is called the COVE study.
The COVE study involves over 30,000 US participants over the age of 18. It involves over 7,000 people over the age of 65, over 5,000 with chronic disease, and over 11,000 people from communities of color.
All right, so what was this study looking at and what was it hoping to achieve?
The primary endpoint was to analyze cases 2 weeks after the second dose of the vaccine.
That's important because we know that it takes about 2 weeks for the body to give the proper immune response, which includes the adequate antibodies to combat infection. So there's really no sense in trying to analyze the results before that 2-week period post-vaccine has gone.
90 of 95 cases of COVID-19 were observed in the placebo group versus 5 cases in the vaccine group, which gives an efficacy of 94.5%. They also looked at the severity of cases. 11 severe cases, all in the placebo group, none were in the vaccine group.
So what they did is they had this group and they gave half of them the vaccine and they gave half of them a placebo, and no one knew. They didn't know what they were giving and the people didn't know what they were getting. And then they observed who got COVID-19, who became positive for the virus. And so they observed that 90 of the 95 participants that tested positive were in the placebo group. They were in the group that did not receive the vaccine. And so this is great because it's showing that those who did get the vaccine were protected and were not getting the virus, were not testing positive for it. And the secondary endpoint was looking at the severity of those cases. And the severe cases were found in 11 participants, and all of those participants had not received the vaccine. They were part of the placebo group. This is very important. We know even with a flu vaccine that usually shows anywhere between 45 to 65% efficacy, some people still will get the flu. However, usually those that get the flu get a much less severe case. So a vaccine can be protective, not only against getting the infection, but also protecting against getting a very severe form of the infection. So this is a very important data point. The safety data on this vaccine so far looks very reasonable. It looks like it could go into the population without causing any real severe concern. It looks very much like other vaccines as far as side effects go.
Common side effects include injection site pain, fatigue after the second dose, muscle pain, joint pain, headache, generalized pain, and redness at the injection site. All of these were short-lived and no significant safety concerns were noted.
Now, one of the things I'm most excited about is that this vaccine is stable at a temperature between 2 and 8 degrees Celsius. What does this mean? This means that it can be stored in a regular fridge, just like we do with the flu vaccine and many other vaccines. The downside of the Pfizer vaccine that we heard about last week is that it has to be stored in a freezer with a temperature of about minus 80 degrees Celsius. So this vaccine being stable for up to 30 days at 2 to 8 degrees Celsius, I think is much more favorable for wider and more easy distribution of the vaccine. All right, so all of this is really great news. So what do we do next? Well, we keep waiting. And we keep hoping that the safety data is going to be good and that the outcomes are going to be good as well. And they are still collecting safety and efficacy data. And it's good to know that they're required to do that. And a vaccine, once it's released, they actually still collect safety and efficacy data, even once it's been out in the population, even years after. If there are any adverse events, those are reported and then acted upon as deemed appropriate. So that's reassuring as well. So thanks for joining me today. I wanted to share this great news with you. I'm very optimistic, even more so than the Pfizer vaccine because of the stability in the fridge, very important. And so we will wait to hear more about this vaccine and others to come. Thanks for joining me. I hope you have a great week. Take care and stay healthy. Bye-bye.